Hello everyone, and welcome to my Royal Family Politics channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. A heated argument with a designer and a protracted, nasty battle on architecture waged by King Charles. 39 years have passed since King Charles II made a contentious speech in which he disparaged modernist architecture. This speech is now known as the Carbuncle speech. King Charles II was more than prepared to express his views on the built environment when he was still the Prince of Wales. He frequently criticized modernist initiatives and ardently defended traditional architecture. The New York Times previously referred to the monarch as the most famous architecture critic in the world. Charles had a strong interest in architecture long before he became king, and has been able to have a big impact on UK projects. He has sabotaged modernist plans, foiled master architects' designs, and even constructed his own traditional communities. Charles has made his views on architecture well known and made a significant impact on the UK's landscape through activism, articles, lectures, a TV program, and even a book. However, now that he is the ruler, he has vowed to stop meddling, and instead choose to remain above the battle as an impartial sovereign. Express.co.uk examines how Charles affected British architecture before becoming king in this article. A speech given by King Charles on May 17, 1984, to commemorate the Royal Institute of British Architects, RIBA, 150th anniversary, is possibly his most infamous architectural intervention. The then Prince of Wales attacked modernist architecture in the speech and singled out a few projects in particular, with the National Gallery's intended high-tech addition as his main focus. The prince criticized the Ahrensburton and Koralek ABK design, which won the competition, calling it a monstrous carbuncle on the face of a much-loved and elegant friend. After then, it was abandoned and was never permitted to mar the London skyline. Another competition was held, and Robert Venturi and Denise Scott Brown's postmodern building ultimately took first place. The term carbuncle was coined as a result of Charles' statement and later served as the name for an annual competition to identify the UK's ugliest building. The Carbuncle Cup, which was introduced in 2006 by the publication Building Design, awards architecture's least prestigious honor. The City of London Office Tower by Mies van der Rohe was another subject of Charles' infamous speech. The idea was put out for a location in Mansion House and was dubbed the culmination of a master architect's life work by pioneering architect Richard Rogers. The 19-story Mansion House Square building, if it had been constructed, would have been the first and only structure in the UK to be created by one of the finest architects of the 20th century. The plan, which Lord Peter Palumbo first commissioned in 1963, through more than 2 decades of dramatic drama, and Charles became determined to stop what he viewed as a modernist atrocity. It would be tragic if St. Paul's was overwhelmed by yet another enormous glass stump, one more appropriate to downtown Chicago than the City of London, further destroying the character and skyline of our nation's capital, he remarked. Mies' masterwork was abandoned in the wake of many planning reviews, public outcry, press vilification, and a heated public investigation. As a result, Lord Palumbo consulted James Stirling, a British architect. The equally wild No One Poultry was constructed where the Mission Tower would have stood. The pink and yellow office building, which was designed by James Stirling, has long caused controversy. At the last minute, several attempts to alter or destroy the building were stopped. Nevertheless, it has grown to be one of London's most recognizable postmodern structures and was given Great E-listing status in 2016. The ship-like edifice, with its striped stonework, was Stirling's final project to be finished. Similarly, Venturi and Scott Brown's expansion to the National Gallery was another unforeseen result of killing a prominent modernist plan. They won the reorganized competition with a concept for a contemporary building clad with pilasters. In 2018, it received Grade I listed status. Not only ABK and Mies van der Rohe had their projects abandoned because of the opinionated royals' opposition, but other renowned architects as well. The Millennium Dome's architect, Richard Rogers, who won the Pritzker Architecture Prize, endured more hardship than most. 3 of the architect's projects were reportedly derailed by Charles before he passed away last year. The prince at the time first voiced his opposition to his Paternoster Square plan next to St. Paul's Cathedral. In reference to the plan, Charles stated in a speech, "You have to give this much to the Luftwaffe. It didn't replace our destroyed buildings with anything more repulsive than rubble." Rogers' project was then shelved. He claimed that after his Royal Opera House was later shut down, "I was basically told, the prince does not like you." Last but not least, Charles wrote a letter purportedly warning the Kateri builders of a housing project at the Chelsea Barracks in the heart of London about the architect. The plan was finally abandoned. Rogers stated to The Guardian after the third and final reversal, "Charles doesn't know much about architecture." He views this controversy as a clash of aesthetics, which is contrary to history because architecture changes and progresses over time in order to reflect society. "I don't think the Prince of Wales understands architecture," he said in his 2017 autobiography, A Place for All People. Instead of seeing it as a growing language of technology and materials, he believes it was fixed at some point in the past. For him, classicism, an unusual choice given that it is not a style with deep origins in England. However, whether his beliefs are correct or incorrect, it scarcely matters if he refuses to participate in discussion. He holds a position of privilege, and he shouldn't abuse it to jeopardize the livelihoods of others with whom he disagrees. Developers do not seek the Prince of Wales' approval for the architects and designers that they might wish to use, either directly or indirectly, a royal spokeswoman stated at the time. However, the Prince's Foundation for Building Community, an independent charity he founded, is frequently asked for assistance and collaborates with local governments to promote sustainable development centered on people. With Poundbury, a market town extension of Dorchester that the king wanted to create to showcase his vision of urban life. In the late 1980s, Charles chose to take his architectural attitude further. He made sure he could exert strict control over its design by constructing the model village on land owned by the Duchy of Cornwall, a private estate run by the eldest surviving son of the English monarch since 1337. Poundbury, which Leon Cryer planned and Quinlan Terry designed the town's central plaza, is expected to house 6,000 people when it is finished in 2025. It has gained popularity among locals and has been compared to a Disney-like community. A new neighborhood called Nansleden is currently being built in the Cornish town of Newquay in accordance with the ideals established at Poundbury. In addition, the king recently revealed plans for a landscape-led new town in Faversham, Kent. Charles' determination to support classic architecture over contemporary ideas is the one thing that unites all of his architectural interventions. His objectives were spelled out in a BBC documentary titled HRH Prince of Wales, A Vision of Britain, which broadcast in 1989. And provided the guidelines for designing Poundbury, along with his contentious statements. A Vision of Britain, a book that was later released, contained Charles' guiding principles. His outspoken comments and unmistakable point of view added to the sense of hostility that has been referred to as a style war between classical and modern architects. The prince drew reference to his involvement in this clash of styles in 2009, 25 years after delivering his infamous Carbuncle speech. In an address given at the RIBA to commemorate the organization's 175th anniversary. I am sorry if I even gave the slightest impression that I wanted to start a style war between classicists and modernists, or that I wanted to take the world back to the 18th century, he said, referring to his 1984 speech to your institute. All I requested was that traditional methods of architecture and urbanism be given some room.